So, Mark, we're here together. You are Head of Public Affairs at Bayer for the UK and Ireland, right? So you've been really busy recently,
Yes.
as ever. So let's talk about the EU reset. And I think the summit has been postponed due to all the political sort of instability. So what are your views on this EU reset? I mean, obviously it's designed to help the British economy, ideally. Is there a risk that there could be any negative effects for our industry, do you think?
Yes, there is that risk. I mean, the headline that it will remove trade barriers at the border between Britain and Europe is true, and that's a positive and a big opportunity. And we're all for freer trade and easier movement of goods. But the challenge is that the way Europe wants to do that is by aligning our agricultural and food regulations with Europe. So we potentially gain on easier movement of goods and lose on regulatory autonomy, which for the last 5 years we've had, and that's generated some opportunities. So I think it's a trade-off, and there are clear benefits, but it's not clear that the bureaucracy goes away; it just gets moved.
Right, that's interesting. Yes, because there was a whole thing about removing the red tape. Actually, there just might be different red tape. Yeah,
that's our challenge, and it's going to affect us because we're in the crop protection, in the plant breeding space, in innovative technologies that are regulated, will be regulated at a European level, and the way we've been looking. So Brexit wasn't something we wanted, especially as a German company.
Yeah.
That we had to work through all that. It was expensive and challenging, but our business is working with it now and has been for 5 years. And we found some opportunities. So we were real supporters of the precision breeding legislation that's passed in 2023. And UK really led that. That's a nice piece of legislation, good piece of regulation and opportunity. We've also seen earlier authorizations of crop protection products from us and our competitors. So we've got a better portfolio of products for British farmers than we have for our European customers. And that's happened in the last 5 years. So we were getting excited about Britain as a innovation lighthouse, we called it, or innovation sandbox. That changed last year with the common understanding, because we're not going to have those opportunities. So we're sort of scratching our heads about what is the opportunity for the future now with this new dynamic alignment regulation.
And I guess at this show, Groundswell, it's all about regenerative agriculture, and I guess there's a sort of thinking about reducing crop inputs. How does a company like Bayer view those conversations?
We're wide open to it. We're about innovation. And the fundamentals of growing a high quality crop to an economic yield that consumers want in the face of pests like weeds and plant disease and insects, those are all still there. It's how you manage to that highly valuable crop that's in demand. And so we can help. If the market wants slightly different things, we need to adapt and develop and innovate products that the market wants. And we're super keen to do that in plant breeding, in biologicals, and in new chemistry. So regenerative, we understand that if the market wants something a bit different, if they want new methods, we need to be in the right place in that.
And I guess your antennae are wiggling here at this show
Very much.
to hear
It's
what
great.
the farmers are saying.
Absolutely. It's really good to be here. And the whole soil topic is important. I mean, it's exciting. When I was at university a long time ago, soil science was about texture of a sort of mineral.
Yeah.
We didn't really go into that.
Biology? Exactly. It doesn't have biology.
Exactly. So I think it's exciting and it's good. It's good sound science and evidence. And that's, as long as that's what the conversation is based in, we are absolutely.
Absolutely. So just going back to the SPS discussions, what could be the best case scenario? And I guess the flip side, what would be the worst case scenario for British agriculture as a result of the alignment?
Sure. I think the best place is that those bits of bureaucracy and sort of commercial risk at the border go away.
Yeah.
So genuinely our exporting partners in Europe support a freer movement of products. That's the opportunity. And then Britain has a voice in future regulation and our conditions, usually slightly cooler, wetter climate, that's reflected. We have the means to reflect our needs in development of new rules and regulations going forward. That's the best case. That the sort of what's on offer actually works. And then I guess Europe leans in a bit more to innovation. We've seen that they really have been very precautionary on a global scale, and a lot of innovation's gone to other parts of the world. If there's a good conversation about Europe, a few more innovation. So there's definitely a sort of positive scenario. I think the challenging scenario is things like we don't potentially get a transition for the work of the last 5 years. So during the last 5 years with GB having regulatory autonomy, as I said, our portfolio has diverged. And we need to bring that back into line with Europe in a managed way. To have a cliff edge would mean a significant chunk of products just go. That would be really problematic. So we need a transition. We also need DEFRA and the regulators in Britain to recognise how European countries make the crop protection regulations in Europe. And one of the big ways they do that is by much more liberal use of the emergency authorisations. So there's about 4,000 emergency authorisations up and running in Europe right now. There's about 20 in Britain, in the tens. So that its orders of magnitude different. And that is a real significant way how smaller crop producers or horticulturalists in Europe manage with pests and diseases. They are much more free to get and access products with an emergency authorization, whereas DEFRA is sought to really limit, and that we need that change. So I think there's definitely a range of scenarios.
Yeah. So let's talk about glyphosate. Obviously in Regen Ag, glyphosate is pretty important. I don't know, maybe people who don't know, maybe you could go into why glyphosate is important.
Sure.
And are you worried? Is glyphosate at risk for Regen Ag, do you think?
No, I think so. We are 52 years into glyphosate sales here in GB. It was one of the first countries in the world to launch
the herbicide, right?
Yes, the herbicide. So glyphosate is a broad spectrum herbicide, and it's one of the few that remains on the market after a long time. A lot of other competitive products have been taken off the market because of concerns about environmental or human health concerns, and glyphosate remained. And so it's actually become more important over time because of that. And I think also its efficacy and its affordability. It's been off patent for 20 years, so it's affordable for farmers. And that safety profile, a good safety profile, very well understood after more than 50 years of study. We just saw back in 2023 a European renewal for 10 years to 2033. So I think the fundamental availability of glyphosate isn't in significant doubt. The question is the details of the label about exactly what that looks like. As a Northern European cooler, wetter country, we use it more, especially for Scotland as you go further north. Harvest management and uses like that isn't on the European label anymore. So there's some uses like that are in question. But the fundamental availability isn't. And the science, we hope to see a GB consultation on glyphosate active substance renewal. And your science is very robust supporting its safety. So there's a lot of noise and controversy about it, but it really is a very well studied, well understood molecule that absolutely can be safely used.
Okay. So last week, was it the Farming Roadmap landed?
Yes.
25-year vision. Isn't life going to be great on the 1st of January in 2050?
Exactly.
I mean, it's all very positive stuff. Is that aligned with your vision as to where you think the industry could be in the next, 20 years?
Yes, I think well put. We would love to be there. It's a great vision. Who could disagree with it? I think the challenges are the policies in place to support that progress towards that, and that's things like SBS. We need the good version of SBS to happen. I'm worried about things like the carbon border adjustment mechanism tax on fertilizer. That's a really fundamental, foundational piece of the arable marketplace cost-wise. So there's lots of challenges going forward towards achieving that. It's a great vision, but I think the challenge will be making it happen in the face of other competing interests.
Yeah, and indeed changing with beautiful leadership and everything else. But
Exactly.
we remain optimistic.
100%.
Mark, great to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your expertise.
Thank you, Belinda. I'd like to see you.